Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a good week. Anyway, I wanted to start off that way to give you an idea or a feeling about how babies feel. So we are now into chapters 5 and 6. This week we are going to be looking at the biological growth of the infant and also the cognitive growth of the infant. Remember, those two things are really inseparable because as physically our brains develop in the first couple of years, also the brain's development affects how we are learning, what we're thinking, how we're learning to think, and how we're developing those skills of like observation, interpretation, perception, and all that. We're also going to see this week how we learn how to interact with other people, at least get the biological and the cognitive part of that, and also we're going to look at how we develop language, I guess that has to do with interaction as well. I want to commend you on your discussions. They have been very, very good. This was a tough question last week in week 2 because it had to do with rape. Certainly not a subject that we like to discuss that much. But I give that to you because it is important to deal with difficult circumstances like this. It's important to think about things like this. Absolutely the most important aspect of this is to understand here we have children who are born, children who are conceived most of the time, as we saw last week, most of the time in circumstances where maybe the people don't really intend to conceive the child. Okay, so what we're basing this now on, the psychology of this child, is dependent upon understanding how these other people, some of them contributing to the child's conception, how these other people are viewing this child and how important that is. As that child grows up, how those other people relate to the child is going to really going to create a lot of the child's personality, understanding of himself or herself. And I know that you realize this is true because if you were to look at your own lives, you would see that there is an important part of who you are and how you feel about yourself that has been dependent on the people who take care of you, your caregivers, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers and sisters, grandparents. Okay, now toward this end, I want you to remember, it used to be considered way back hundreds of years ago, the philosophy was that a child was like a piece of clay. I believe it was this Latin phrase, tabula rasa, which means the blank slate. So you were a blank slate, or we were blank slates when we were born, and then everything we were was created by the people who took care of us, like writing on that slate, like writing the story of our lives. And now we realize that children are, each child is an individual, diverse entity. So I say this because as you read and you study, I want you to understand something, that what the parents, what the caregivers, brothers and sisters are doing is bringing out who that child really is already, not so much shaping a new child, but bringing out the qualities of who that child already is, helping to that child to discover, helping the parents to discover who the child is. So keep that in mind as you're reading about the biological and cognitive development of the infant in the first 2 years. It's just as much discovery of who this child already is as it is shaping this child becoming. So this week you have another literature review and you have another observation. So keep up the good work. Remember, think, interpret, analyze, and you will come up with some great solutions, as I've already seen you done. Have a great week. Thank you very much.